going to be giving a presentation on the impact of the rise of the West on racism. Alright, so the first sort of major change is the European colonization of Africa. The Europeans saw indigenous Africans as being inferior to them. They did things like discourage interracial marriages. They didn't really mingle with the natives so much. And they often imposed their own culture and religion on these natives. They had sort of religious missionaries. They followed the God, gold, and glory ideology of the West. The people of non-Christian religions were seen as inferior. You see some sort of the lasting effects of this even today. And the Europeans also broke down existing social and political structures, and then they rebuilt them to their own benefit. So they actually, you can still see the effects today. With the British colonial possession of South Africa led to the apartheid, and that subsisted into the 1990s. And the people in regions of land that the European colonists controlled, they were exploited often for the wealth of the home country. Most Europeans had little respect for the human rights of these natives. They saw them as subhuman. And in the case of Belgium's Free Congo Republic, an estimated 20% of the population was killed by this forced labor. And the motivation for much of this exploitation was, again, the wealth of the home country. They wanted to send money and goods back. And this European meddling has scarred Africa even to this day. And without colonists left, a lot of the African states were left with, any sort of sufficient structure. And a lot of them, that's why they have a lot of conflict there. It was a much more peaceful place before, the Europeans came and sort of interfered. And they created sort of these political boundaries that sort of, a lot of times, sandwiched people from a lot of different sort of incompatible clans and stuff into small areas, which led to a lot of internal conflicts. And even today, a lot of programs to help Africa have done more harm than good. And the money doesn't go to the right places. They end up encouraging warlords instead of the people actually helping the people that they should be helping. Next, scientific racism. One of the major texts is Joseph Arthur du Gobineau's Essai sur l'inégalité des races humaines, which means sort of the inequalities within the human race. And in this system, people are grouped and classified by race almost taxonomically. And yes, one of the things we found most striking was that they thought of some groups of African Americans as being the missing link between primates and Europeans. And this actually, this is a modern thing, but they actually had human zoos displaying these people, and they had them in New York City in the early 20th century. And whites and Anglo-Saxons were seen as the pinnacle of human development. All other races were thought of as inferior to them. Now another sort of more evidence. You have African slavery from the Columbian Exchange. You had natives from Africa being sent over to the New World to, farm cotton. And so this sort of led to the idea that, Africans as property. Africans as tools to make money for, whites. And, this persisted into the mid-19th century until the Civil War in America, with American plantations. There's these massive, massive numbers of slaves being brought from Africa in exchange for rum. You can also see this in the conquest of the New World by Europeans. And you see the Great Dying, basically that wiped out the indigenous peoples of America. Because, the Westerners thought that they had the right, because of God, gold, and glory, to sort of take over, to kill these people, to destroy their societies, and sort of take the land for themselves. This sort of allowed them to do diseases and massacres, and they used those to sort of weaken and destroy native peoples so that they could take the land for their own benefit. And so basically, overall, the rise of the West was encouraged and justified by Western racism. ideology led Europeans to exploit groups that they considered to be inferior. Their lack of sympathy with other racial groups encouraged them to commit acts of brutality, devastating entire populations. The pillaging and exploitation of these groups contributed to European wealth. The Western media has and does create and propagate this racist sentiment.